Welcome to PhoneArena.com's comparison side by side of the Palm Pre and the iPhone 3GS. We'll start with the Palm Pre, just to get a general look at it. It's very much like a polished Riverstone. You have the volume buttons here on the upper left, headphone jack and ringer switch on the top. On this side of the phone, under this little plastic door, is the micro USB connector for charging. And the device also has a home button there, middle of the bottom. And this area right here is the gesture area. Sliding it open, we have the full QWERTY physical keyboard. And there you have the Palm Pre, camera and flash on the back as well as a speaker. Now looking at the iPhone 3GS, also very simplistic design. There is no physical keyboard, of course. The iPhone 3GS has a software keyboard, volume, rocker switch, and ringer switch here on the upper left, headphone jack, and power button on the top. There's a camera on the back, no flash, and of course the connector on the bottom for syncing and charging. So there you have a side-by-side comparison, and we're going to delve into the details here in a moment. Let's look at a comparison between the keyboard of the iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre. On the iPhone, we'll go into the Notes application. As you can see, the software keyboard comes up, and we can type the word keyboard. There is an auto correction as you type. To select the word that it thinks you want, just press the space bar. Double tap will get you a period if you're close to the end, if you're right at the end of a word. And if you need numbers, there you go. If you need other symbols, you got them there. And just turn to landscape, and you have a wider keyboard, so it's even easier to type. And there you have the iPhone keyboard. The Palm Pre does not have an on-screen keyboard. Instead, it has a keyboard that physically slides out at the bottom. And in our example here, we're going to go into the Memos application to show you how the Palm Pre keyboard stands up. I want a new memo, and we're now going to just type something very quick about Palm Pre keyboard. Personally, I've been, well, as you can see, I have a difficult time spelling Palm. However, I'll just point out that in my own experience using the physical keyboard of the Palm Pre and the on-screen keyboard of the iPhone, it's going to be different for each user, but you'll likely, using one device or the other, become accustomed to it. And right now I'm far faster on the iPhone keyboard than I am on the Palm Pre, but for others it will be the converse of that. But there you have the physical keyboard on the Palm Pre. If you hit the symbol button, it pulls up symbols that you can then scroll through, much like you can access different symbols on the iPhone. On the Palm Pre, to access your applications, you of course have applications right here on the dock, and you can actually pull up this little ribbon, which is kind of useful, and you do so by starting in the gesture area. But you can also start from the gesture area and swipe upward and bring up your applications. Now on the Pre, you have up to 3 pages to put applications, but not only are you able to access them by swiping side to side, but in each page you can scroll up and down. If you have a whole bunch of apps on one page, you can get to them just by scrolling quite easily. On the iPhone 3GS, let's have a look here. We also have applications on here much like the Palm Pre. And on the iPhone, you access them by scrolling side to side, up to 11 pages of applications. And when you want to jump to the home screen, you just press the home button, and it takes you right back to where you started. So if you're all the way at page 11 and you want to get back to your first page, just press the home button and you'll be returned to where you started. Both the iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre have a similar method for repositioning applications on your device if you don't like their layout. You just press and hold, and on the iPhone it gets the applications to jiggling, and then you can move the application wherever you want it to go. Once you have it set, you just press the home button and everything is cemented back into place. On the Pre, which I have over here going, when you press and hold on an application, you'll see a little ring, a little light ring appear around it, and then you can move it wherever you want. Then just let go to drop it into place, and everything is set again with the Pre. So very simple on both devices to move applications around and reorder them as you wish. The iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre handle multitasking very differently. In fact, on the iPhone, that's one of the criticisms of the iPhone 3GS and the iPhone in general, is the lack of multitasking. However, there is a limited means of achieving several things within the same application. For example, here we have the Notes application. I can go to a particular note, or I can hit the back button and go to my list. But when I tap on a note, it brings me to the note itself. I can then enter information. Once I'm done, I can hit the back button. So, although very limited and not really considered multitasking, the iPhone does have a back button, usually up here in the upper left corner, for many of its applications, so you can move around within the application. But once you're ready to go and jump into another application, you have to leave the one you're currently in by hitting the home button and then go to the next one, the compass, for instance. Now, the Palm Pre is quite a bit different. The Pre has true multitasking. You can do several things at once, and it does this by use of a card system. So, for instance, if I'm in the messaging application and I'm having a conversation with a buddy, in this case my friend Scott, if I want to then leave that application and pull up a note or a memo, I can press the button here, the home button, that shrinks this application to a card. That's what they use to handle these. So here we have the card. I can now swipe up and get a look at all my applications, go to Memos. Wait a second for the Palm Pre to open that memo, and as you can see, it opens up the memo application. I can tap on a memo and see if my keyboard is working now. If I want to switch back to the application I was in, I just press the home button, and here we have the cards, and I can move over to my conversation with my friend Scott. And I can go back and forth like that. And if I want, I can even add a third card, or a fourth or fifth. In this case, we'll open up the calendar. So here I have the calendar. A few days ago I had more going on. Again, I can switch between these applications, and if I want to touch and hold on one, I can even move it around. Very neat. So I can look through the things I have going on, the different applications I have open, and I can tap and go into the one I want, and then when I'm done, I just flip it up to the top of the screen and it exits the application. Very intuitive, very simple, very slick interface on the Palm Pre. Both the Pre and the iPhone 3GS have universal search. On the Pre, I open up the keyboard and all I have to do is start typing. So if I want to look up the Palm Pre, I just start typing. I just put in Palm, and that gave me immediately different options for searching: Google, Google Maps, Wikipedia, and Twitter to begin. Now if I'm looking up a person's name, I'm just going to put my own name in here, Brian. As I type in the name, it pulls up a list of people from the address book. And so again, just very smart, very simple. All you have to do is open the keyboard and start typing, and you're searching the device and the internet. Universal search on the iPhone 3GS is not quite as extensive as the Palm Pre. You don't access the internet, but you swipe to the right from your home screen, and that brings you up to a search area. So here I'm going to again put in my name, Brian, and what it will do here is it will bring up not only address books, but email, anything that's on the device itself. And if that doesn't get me what I want, let's just go with something more generic. Everything that starts with the letter A. First, it gives me all the contacts, but then it also gives me applications and items that are on the in the media, for example, on the iPod. And so searches very extensively throughout the iPhone and what is on the iPhone, but there is no search that reaches out onto the net as is found on the Pre. We're going to now compare the PIM features, that's the personal information management, between the iPhone 3GS and the Pre. When we go into areas like the phone book on the iPhone, now we have all of our contacts that we can scroll through, and here on the right side you can jump to a letter in the alphabet much more quickly just by tapping in the general area. Let's go to Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is a popular guy. Here in the contacts you have the ability to put a picture and then just your basic contact information, and then from here you can text, share the contact with someone else, or add it to favorites. In addition to contacts, there's also calendar information. It's pretty basic calendar. You have a list view, day view, and a month view of your calendar and your calendar activities. So really nothing too fancy on the iPhone, just a very basic calendar that help you get things done. If you want to add a calendar entry, just hit the plus button. You can put in the title, the times, if it's a repeating event, or if you want to set up an alert. You also can set up notes. You can input notes, as we did earlier with the keyboard. And then you have an option to even email that note to someone. And that pretty much sums up the PIM functionality on the iPhone. There's actually no native task list, but there are a lot of third-party task applications that you can download to your iPhone for your to-do lists. PIM functionality on the Palm Pre. Down here in the dock you can access your address book, and again I'm going to go right to let's go to Mickey Mouse. I can go to the keyboard and hit M to start the name. Now let's even make it more precise and put in Mickey. Oh, there's Mickey Mouse. So just like the iPhone, here on the Pre we have basic contact information. You can even add a photo, and I have a nice little photo of Mickey Mouse there, and that's just very essential information that you would have on any device. You tap on a phone number, for example, brings up the phone pad and can even call, but that's not going to be a valid number. Can't reach Mickey at this hour. Moving on, let's use the gesture area to move back. That's one nice thing about this gesture area, is you're able to move back and to where you were before. And we're going to use the multitasking capability of the Pre. We're going to head into the calendar. Now the calendar on the Pre is a bit more robust than that found on the iPhone. On the Pre you have your times that are busy blocked out for appointments, but you'll notice right here this little scrunched up area, that represents 2 hours of free time that I have in my schedule. Because that's free time, and in order to make it more simple for the user, it squishes that up like an accordion so that you have your appointments before and after closer together so it all fits on the same screen. But if I want to access that, I just tap the 2 hours free and it expands, and I can tap the screen and enter a new event and put as much detail in there as I want. But if I don't want to enter that event, I can just squish that back. So that's the calendar. And in addition, some other information that we have here. Let's go into our applications. You've seen the memo application earlier, and with memos they get a little bit creative here. There's different colors you can select from. You can reposition them if you want. And of course, when you write a new memo, you can even choose the color that you're going to want it to be: pink, blue, green, or yellow. And you can then enter your memo. And something that the Pre has that the iPhone is lacking is a native task list. And it presents in a nice little quaint booklet that you might buy at a store. But here we've got, I can pull up a particular item, and you can categorize them and then put in whatever you need from the keyboard. So right here I can just start typing and enter a new task. But that's the task list. So again, somewhat basic, but the Pre gives you a little more in this area than the iPhone. So the iPhone, especially with the task list, you have to get a third-party application, and the Pre has it already on board. Messaging and email on the Palm Pre is really a delight to use. Palm uses Synergy, which their goal is to bring all information into one area. And as you can see here in the mail application, I can either see all of my different mailboxes, or I can go into all my mailboxes and it consolidates everything into one place. Then I can scroll through and look at my email or create email right here. Messaging works very much the same way as far as consolidation and bringing everything into one place. If I want to go into my messaging application, which I actually visited before when we were talking about messaging with my friend Scott. Here we have conversations and a buddy list. You can see who's available on the application. And with messaging, it brings in Google Talk and AIM right now. Perhaps there will be more in the future, but right now it's limited to those two instant messaging clients. The Pre is also both SMS and MMS capable. So for instance, if I want to create a new message, I also have the option to add an attachment, so I can send a picture out of all of my images, or the photo roll, a screen capture that I made, or even my wallpapers. Instant messaging and email on the iPhone 3GS is very straightforward. They each have their own application. In messaging, you can send text messages, but at this point AT&T has not enabled the multimedia messaging capability, even though the iPhone 3GS is able to do that. That's not a feature that AT&T has turned on as of yet. So that's a pretty big drawback on the iPhone, whereas the Pre, you're able to send multimedia messages on the Sprint network. Email, also fairly straightforward on the iPhone. Here we've got a Yahoo email account set up, so you can go into the inbox, read your email messages, scrolling up and down with the touch screen, and you can also create messages. So again, very straightforward on this application. The iPhone, every time you need the keyboard, it will pop up for you to use. Accessing media on the iPhone, here we have the Photos application, and you can scroll through the photos just by swiping your finger, and go into the iPod application, and here along the bottom of the screen you can select your playlists of music. You can search by artist, by song. Just by scrolling through here, you can use, just like in the address book, this alphabetical system, so you can jump straight to the song that you want. And then under the video section, you can look at movies or videos that you have that you've downloaded. Here we've got Gran Torino. We'll start that up. Here in landscape mode, you can see that it's got excellent video quality. We can pause and move forward in the movie or back, or however we want to do it. And that is the media capability on the iPhone. Once you've found the song you want on the iPhone 3GS, just touch it. If you have album art loaded, you'll see the album art. Adjust the volume up and down right here. and listen to your music. If you decide you want to listen to something else, just swipe. You're back to the song list and pick something else that you want to play. And that is music on the iPhone. Accessing media on the Palm Pre. Here we can go into our photo section, and there you can look at all images, your photo roll, screen captures, or even your access to your wallpapers. We also have a video icon. So the media is divided up into different areas. A place for your photos, a place for your videos, and a place for your music. Here we have Hellboy 2, and just like on the iPhone, it immediately jumps to landscape mode to watch a movie. Take a moment to load up.
But not with me, Agent. Not with me. We're moving in.
The screen is smaller on the Pre, but has excellent resolution, excellent quality. The resolution is of course the same on both devices, but because the screen is smaller on the Pre, the dots per inch they're more condensed, and it just gives you a better image quality even though it's on a smaller screen. Music on the Palm Pre is found in its own location, and here they've got their music organized somewhat similarly to the iPhone. Just the interface is a bit different. You can shuffle all your songs. You can view music by artist, just like on the iPhone. Although this interface and the display is a little more colorful in that it gives you the artist listed, but also their cover art here on the right. And here we'll go to Coldplay. And here we have the album art. And unlike the iPhone, when you want to advance to another song on the Pre, you just swipe. Swipe again. And when you're done, just flick it off the screen. The camera applications on both the Palm Pre and the iPhone 3GS are fairly simple and easy to use. Let's start with the Pre. Go into the camera application, and if you look closely you can see here that I've got my watch in the background as the subject. On the camera, on the screen, you have a few different options here. You can turn the flash on, you can set it off, or to auto, and we're going to use auto right now for this picture. The camera has autofocus. It's 3 megapixel. We zero in on our target, hit the space bar, and our picture is taken. Now if I want to review the pictures I've taken, I can tap the lower left part of the screen there to go to my photo album, and here in photos we'll go right to the photo roll, and there's our first picture right there. That's the one I just took. And then I can tap the screen and have the option here to dump it in the garbage, or I can send it to another place. I can assign it to a contact. I can set it as wallpaper, send it via email or MMS, or upload it to a website. The camera application on the iPhone 3GS, also a 3 megapixel camera, but without the benefit of a flash. But here we can zero in on our subject, and on the iPhone it has autofocus, but you can also focus right on the screen. So you can tap on the screen the object that you want to bring into focus, then you press the shutter button on the screen and it takes the picture and puts it into your photo album, just like it does on the Pre. Now another advantage to the iPhone 3GS that you do not have, that is not found on the Palm Pre, is the ability to take video. And right here we can slide that little switch to video, and now we can take video of our subject as well. And once we finish taking video, there's editing options as well. So if I don't like what I have in the front or the end of my video, I can take these sliders and I can adjust it exactly how I want. I can trim it, and I hit the trim button, and now I've got a trimmed video, something more condensed to share. And just like on the pre, if I'm proud of what I've done, I can email the video, or on the iPhone I can upload it right up to YouTube if I want to. But I don't think anybody's interested in seeing a boring video of my watch. But these are the different options you have between the iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre for the camera. Alright, I'm sure this is the test you've all been waiting for, a speed comparison of loading up a website on the iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre. And of course we're going to go to phonearena.com. I'm going to try and hit them both simultaneously. Start. Now we're using Wi-Fi on this test to see which one is faster. They're both rendering the page rather quickly. It's close. Oh, here we go. They both had an option to take a survey or go right to the site, and that was rather comparable, that they both loaded up the site fully rendered at almost the same time. It looks like the iPhone 3GS had a slight edge. Next we'll try on the 3G network. Alright, this time Wi-Fi is turned off. They'll just be using their cellular networks, and we're going to go to Drudge Report, starting both now. And there we go. It looks like it's neck and neck. Both of them still have a little bit of progress bar left. Seconds are counting down. And we have a winner. It's the iPhone 3GS has finished rendering the page a mere 2 or 3 seconds before the Palm Pre. So there you have it. The iPhone 3GS is a little bit faster, but the Pre holds its own quite well. In fact, the Pre was faster originally than the iPhone 3G, but the 3GS, that S for speed, does mean something, and in this case it's a little bit faster than the Pre rendering a website. The iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre both have a multi-touch interface, so when we're on a website you can pinch and stretch it and move it around to look at what you want in more detail. Then you can pinch it to make it smaller. Same goes with the Pre. We can stretch it, we can look at something a little bit closer or not, and then we can just use our finger to move the page around to view exactly what we want to look at. And what we have noticed though is that the iPhone seems to handle this a little more smoothly than does the Pre. I'm not sure if that's a software issue or if maybe a difference between the glass display making it a little easier for the fingers to glide across it than it is on the Pre. So, but both have that great capability of pinching and stretching. Finally, the App Store on the iPhone. This is where we get our third-party apps, and here along the bottom you can look at what's featured. You can look at categories of applications to find what you want. There's a top 25, and you can search to find your favorite app based on keywords. And updates are also stored here, so you can download updates to the apps that you already have. And when you click on an app to take a closer look, let's look at the Moron test here. Gives you a greater description, the price, and you can download it if you want there. But you also have screenshots here. They've implemented this quite well on the iPhone. so we can scroll through the screenshots also. And that's the App Store on the iPhone. The app catalog on the Pre, a little bit similar to the App Store on the iPhone. You have access to featured and popular applications, and you can scroll sideways at those. You can run a search, or you can even look them up by category. But in this case, let's have a look at AP News. So you tap on the application and you have screenshots right here. You can get a closer look at those, so you can see exactly what that app's going to look like on your Pre. And you can also get a rating and a description. You can see reviews, add a review, and even go to the developer's homepage for support. And that is a summary of the app catalog, which hopefully will have many more apps here by the fall. And that pretty much sums up the video review and comparison of the iPhone 3GS and the Palm Pre. And please go to phonearena.com for the full article on the review of these two excellent devices. Thank you very much.